Hey guys, so here's part 2 of the 5.6. Once again, we're going to use synthetic division to find all the real zeros of our polynomial function given a zero. Now you might be wondering, well, how do I know when to either use synthetic division to find the other zeros or solutions or by factoring? Well, one thing is it doesn't say solve by factoring, right? Well, we also can see that, so we do have a to the power of 3. We have 4 of our terms here. So we think about like factoring by grouping. Remember, when we do that, that means they have to have something similar. So like here, we could take an x squared out, right? And then we would be left with x minus 8. However, if we look at our second two terms, or the last two terms, they have nothing in common we can take out. So there's no way we can factor this and actually solve for it, right? So also notice that they also gave us a 0. So anytime they give you 0, you have to use synthetic division, okay, to solve. So let's go ahead. Actually, what I would like you to do is pause this video and try this one on your own, since we've done this quite a bit here, okay? Okay, let's see what you got. So -1 is our 0. Remember, when they give you the 0, we do not change. Notice that our degree here is 3, so that means we are going to have 3 solutions total. So I have my -1. And it really doesn't matter how you use your box for the synthetic division. It's all good. Okay, so we now use our coefficients. I have 1. I have -8. because that's my x squared term, then 11 for my x, and then 20. Notice that we are not missing any terms, so we do not need to use 0 as a placeholder, but always remember to think about that. My first term I bring below the horizontal line, and anything below it I multiply with the -1. So -1 times 1 gives me -1. I do some vertical addition, so -8 plus a -1 gives me -9. -1 times -9 gives me a +9. So that gives me a 20. And then I do -1 times 20 to give me -20. Add that. And notice we do get 0 as a remainder, so we did this correctly. Remember, anytime they have given you a 0 or a factor of the polynomial, you should always get 0 as your remainder. So now, remember, when we are writing a synthetic division, I always go down 1 degree. So we started off with an x cubed, so that means this is going to be our x squared, our x, and then our constant. So I'm going to have x squared minus 9x plus 20 equals 0. And we set it equal to 0 because we are solving. So once again, with our quadratic, we have numerous ways. Really, you either want to use the quadratic formula. Don't forget the quadratic formula is this. So opposite of b plus minus square root of b squared minus 4ac. So just in case you've forgotten it. And I'll kind of show you how to use this again because it's been a while. Okay. So first, let me show you how we can do this by factoring. Remember, first, let's figure out all the numbers that multiply to 20 because our a value in front of the x squared is just 1. So we have 1 and 20, 2 and 10, and then 4 and 5. Really, the only ones that we want to use are probably 4 and 5. So we'll have, because we need to add up to a -9, -4, and -5, so x minus 5. So now we set these factors equal to 0 to solve. So I have x minus 4 equals 0, as well as my x minus 5 equal to 0. Now remember, we should have 3 solutions because our degree, since this is in standard form, and the cubed, or the 3 is the largest exponent, so we should have 3 solutions, or 3 zeros. So I move this over, so I get x equals 4. X equals 5, and then don't forget the 0 they gave to you in the problem, which in this case was -1, so x equals -1. Now, how can we use the quadratic formula to also find this answer? Well, that means what we would have to do is we use this equation here, right, our x squared, to plug in the values. So I have x equals my opposite of b, so opposite of -9 would be a +9, plus minus square root of, we do b squared, so -9 squared, minus 4 times our a, which is 1, times our c, which is a +20, all over 2 times our a. Okay, so now from here, remember what we do is we take what's underneath the square root and plug it into our calculators. Let me show you how we did that. Okay, so in our calculator, as I said, we only plug what's underneath the radical, not with the radical. So be careful, because a lot of you are going to try to do that. Okay, so we do -9, and then we do squared minus 4 times our 1 times our 20. Notice I only plug, do you see the square root? No, I don't see any square root, so we only plug what's underneath it. And I get 1. Okay, so then I have square root of 1 over 2. So now we know the square root of 1 should be 1, right? So this is now 9 plus or minus 1 over 2. Now we basically combine all of this. So I have x equals 9 plus 1 over 2. And then the other one, 9 minus 1 over 2. So this one gives me 10 over 2, which gives me 5. And then the other one gives me 8 over 2, which gives me 4. So notice that even when we do the quadratic formula, we get the same answer as we factored, okay? So remember, you can do either or to basically get the same answer there, okay? Okay, make sure you watch the last part of our 5.6 notes.